What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the TradeMarke Podcast. This week, we've got a very, very special guest with us. We've got Shauna Brown joining us from On the Double Heating and Cooling. They've got an awesome brand. She has an awesome story. We're going to talk about some really, really cool, powerful things this week. So let's go ahead and get started.
Step into the TradeMarke, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trades. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Ghirardo from Remarketable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you. Listen in as we're here for the big ideas, the game changers, and the everyday successes. Because at the TradeMarke, we're with the trades and for the trades.
I changed the icebreaker up while that was playing because before we started recording, Shauna had mentioned something about how like our kids don't really know what we do. And I found this icebreaker. So Shauna, I'd like to know, how do you describe your job to a 3-year-old?
Okay. So, oh man, that's a good one. So yeah, to a 3-year-old. So I go around introducing myself and what we do to strangers. Stranger danger. Okay, so we meet people within the community and introduce ourselves and tell what we do. So that's part of the marketing piece, like getting involved in the community. We also do presentations to tell about what we do, along with community events, tabling events, trade shows, things like that. But what we do, heating and air conditioning, is we go and we fix people's air conditioners so that they can stay cool or warm in their homes. So that's probably the most simplified one for a 3-year-old.
Right. That's a very intelligent 3-year-old, right? They're like, trade shows. Yes, tell me more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's hard. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying, that I've been taking my 9-year-old along with me to some of these networking events and referral groups. And she's observing me introduce our company, what we do, talk to other business owners, other people in the community, go to ribbon cuttings. But our communities are very welcoming and very kind. And so they love meeting her. They ask her what her name is, what company she's with, and she's getting this firsthand experience of what that looks like. So it's really cool.
And that's how summer should be with kids, right? Like, guess what? You're going to work with me today, or you're going to work just in general.
Yeah.
So you're the owner of On the Double Heating and Cooling, right? Co-owner with, or owner. I like to say owner because, I mean, we are, right?
Right.
On the Double Heating and Cooling in Lubbock, Texas, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
We are out here. Yeah. And we are this, people often wonder, like, because Texas is so gigantic, but we're this little island out in northwest Texas. And we're called the hub city because there's literally nothing with like 100 miles of us. And so everyone comes to Lubbock for everything, shopping, medical care, that kind of thing. And we're getting closer to 300,000 people. And then we have Texas Tech University here, which a lot of people know about that as far as the Big 12 goes. And really lovely people, very flat and dusty.
I love that. Texas is very flat, hot, and humid, and all of the things. You know, I'm from Texas originally, and so I totally can talk about Texas any way that I want. but never actually been to Lubbock, and especially because it was Texas Tech, and we were all Aggie fans.
Wow. Yeah. We don't wear maroon here. No.
Just blend in wherever I go. Also, it doesn't really matter to me. But how has your business been doing during the summer? And, you know, how did you really get started into the HVAC industry?
So, yeah, it's a good story. So I like to share that my dad and my uncle, I grew up in the industry. And so they have had a heating and air conditioning business company, and they've just really run it kind of old school, but They're retired now, but still going, like 45 years. So my entire life I've been in the trades. I wasn't heavily involved in their business, but I've just been around it and just around the business owners and entrepreneur mindset and just really the hustle. It's the hustle with really amazing customer care, customer service, and integrity and that kind of thing. So we didn't really intend to have a heating and air conditioning business. My husband got into it by happenstance, and then we moved to Lubbock. And he was in the industry in a commercial position, and he was traveling all over the place. And then he finally settled with a company here in town, and that was commercial as well, and started doing residential on the side because the company was like, yeah, that's fine. No worries. It's not conflicting or anything. Well, that grew and grew, and we found and saw a need for a higher level of customer service. And I think it's a lot of similar stories to other people. They see, I could do this on my own. I really think I can make a difference. I can do this really well. And so it just slowly grew enough to where we decided, let's go and do this on our own. And we did. And so he got his license in 2012. However, didn't really go 100% in about 2017.
Nice. And what were you doing before this?
Well, I've actually owned and sold a business prior to this, and then I helped startups. I've basically involved it all in startup businesses, small community or locally owned startups. My first business to own was a high-end photography studio. I did all our sales, marketing, back-end business development, make sure that we're compliant. A lot of interaction with our customers, of course, our clients, and doing the sales with that. We sold that before moving to Lubbock, our part of that. And then I helped to buy here, pay here car dealership. I was the head of the finance side of all of that. You work with some colorful people. So with colorful backgrounds. And I say that in a good way. I mean, I loved it, to be honest. I loved being able to counsel our customers with their financial decisions. And it was probably one of the most rewarding things when someone would pay off their car, because they were probably the first generation to even do that, because they had lived a cycle of generations of always having really high interest, vehicles that were never ever paid off. They were cycled. And so that was but developing that business and growing that business was a great experience. And then moved into having children, babies. Yeah. And so I backed off some during those a little bit there. But I've been always involved with our business as it's grown, the back end, the setup, the compliance, all of the not so fun stuff, but necessary.
Yeah. That's awesome.
What have been some of the bigger challenges that you have experienced since you all started, on the double? I think it was previously AirTex, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you all have faced? Because I know before we started, we were talking. You're saying our style of business is like the majority rather than the minority, because there's so much noise online about what businesses should look like. So kind of walk us through some of that, like your process from there until now, what that kind of looks like.
Well, so we have had no formal exposure to what large HVAC operations look like, and so we have really just built this from scratch and learned as we've gone. And there truly is no silver bullet to this. I think there are some advantages that people have in the sense that if they were exposed to those processes, how that operation is, for them to go out on there and already have that, in their back pocket. We just went into it with high levels of integrity, work ethic, honesty, and customer service. And we just happen to be able to do heating and air conditioning, that skill. And we've learned over these years that it's really a marketing and sales company to it, but we're not 100% bought into it, because we do still believe in very much, we're not a transactional business, we're a relationship. Our style is more relationship business. It's important to us. It's because it's who we are, and we can sleep at night knowing that that's how we're running and operating our business. And that's our goal. We're in it for the long game, not the short, run of cycling through customers as quickly as we possibly can. And all of this, has just been learned over time. I mean, we'd love to say, oh, if we could only go back, we would have done this, we would have done that, but we've learned it over time through going to industry events has helped us tremendously. It's also can be negative too, not negative, but like a hindrance, if you will, because of all the noise, because of all the distractions. Again, if we could go back, there's a lot of those distractions we could have avoided, but you live and you learn. And I think we're in a really good spot. This last year's probably one of the most difficult years that we've had. We've had to make some major pivotal changes that have resulted in a real positive effect, but they were hard, very difficult, and a lot, and I'm happy to share any of that. So.
Yeah. And I think you're right. First off, it is really difficult to, it's always customer first, and you're in a people and experience business. And I think when we realign the way that we think about sales and marketing, it's about who are we helping, right? And it's people. And it's not just the people that we're serving in the community, it's the people that we're serving as employees, because as your company grows, your employees are your people. And so when we align our core values and we align our whys and we align our purpose to the people and the experience, like you have just talked about, then the outcome that's driven is a more stable, and you're not chasing a dollar, right? Like that's the biggest thing is really understanding that you're not out there to be a sales and marketing structure. You're out there to serve. And I think that's what you're doing. And that's the greatest thing. So yeah, I mean, we'd love to hear the challenges. And, you and I have talked about some of the challenges throughout the year. And it's just been an honor to learn and grow with you. But I think that the industry really needs to hear the reality of the situations, right? Like it is hard. And when you think about it as a sales and marketing experience, then it's just like, what are you chasing? So yeah. So if you want to dive in, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year was, I think, a really hard year for a lot of companies. A lot, like the numbers were down, the volume was down. I mean, I know some were very proud that they were doing really well. There was those that were out there, saying that they were doing really well. But I think the reality is that a lot of companies were struggling, especially in the third quarter, like the second half of the year. Well, I guess that's not true. So a lot of people, that first quarter was really rough for a lot of people as well. So last year, oh man, well, we had some personal things happening in the beginning of the year that we had to make some choices for me to kind of step very significantly back and away from the business for health reasons and make that a priority. And so that was kind of a, through a kink of things for sure. But it's been the biggest blessing in the big picture of all of that. We also implemented and switched from a software to Service Titan. And as we all know, that's just a huge, huge undertaking, and so much time and attention and distraction in a way to switch softwares. So we did that last spring. And so now we're 100, we've got a whole year with it and have some really great data and that kind of thing. It was a good move, but it was a challenge, and it was a lot to happen during the year. But we had to make 3 major changes though this last year. We had a bookkeeper and accountant for years, and the bookkeeper had come to me. She did a great job and said, "Hey, I'm moving on. You're going to have to find, somebody else." And so I was like, "Oh, good timing. You're switching to Service Titan. This will be free. We'll find someone that's more industry focused and understands Service Titan." And so we switched bookkeepers and hoping to have more solid numbers and from our industry's perspective, along with the Service Titan numbers. And we were like, oh, this is gonna be great. You can finally have that budget that we've always wanted to have, and those KPIs that we've always wanted to really follow, and all those kinds of things. Well, I know enough to be dangerous with my the accounting and everything. And so we got into that, and I thought, okay, it takes a minute to shift and adjust, and the Service Titan's new and this and that. But toward the end, and then September, October came, and everything was dropping as far as volume. And I was like, Josh, these numbers just aren't looking right. I have some concerns, yada, yada, yada. And so for several months we watched and realizing this is a mess. This is not where it's supposed to be. And the thing is, you don't just jump accountants and bookkeepers to accountants, just like marketing companies, right? You don't jump from one to the other. It's a big move or software, you've got to, it's such a big commitment and it takes so much time and money and that kind of thing. But come to find out, our books were just trashed. I mean, just trashed. We couldn't make the decisions we were needing to be making during that downturn, and it was just nuts. But we also couldn't make, what we have learned is not making rash decisions. You have to make a really good decision. So we had to start interviewing and asking all kinds of, industry friends, who are you using, and this and that. And so we interviewed and finally came to one that matched, that communicate. And that's the other part of that. It's not just that they're good at what they do. You have to be able to communicate well with them. It's a partnership. So you have to find someone who suits how you communicate. And so we found someone but we didn't do that till the 1st of January. We didn't really come to peace and say, okay, this is who we need to go with. And so now it's amazing. Like, it is amazing. We have a beautiful budget. We are on track. Things have changed. I mean, it's just been wonderful. Well, the other part of that was we switched marketing companies in the midst of all of that. And the numbers are down. We kept, and we don't like to be that. We're not, there's been some posts lately about this whole, the marketing company blaming the customer, and the customer blaming the marketing company, and who's at fault and who's not doing their job and this and that, And so, and we're not the type to be like super difficult to work with. I don't think so anyway. And we want to trust whoever we have, whatever vendor that we're using, and really work on it like a marriage, like a relationship, like let's give it a chance. Let's try, but we really did some deep diving into that. And it was not an easy decision. It is a terrifying decision from a contractor's standpoint. Absolutely terrifying. If I make the wrong decision, am I going to crush us? Literally. Or are we going to, we cannot afford to go backwards. We can, there's no room for that at all. So again, we had to interview. And ultimately we were able to align with a company that was able to really show us exactly what needed to be adjusted and changed. And again, it wasn't a quick decision either. We waited till March, which is terrible. But we could not make that decision quickly again. And I'm just would encourage other business owners, do not make these decisions quickly. Do not just, shoot from the hip, because it's such a big decision. Get educated. Sarah sent me an amazing list of questions to ask everyone who we were interviewing. Reach out to people in this industry, your friends. It was so helpful. And we did that in March, and it was literally like our lighthouse's light was out before, and whatever the adjustments that were made just to GMP and LSA and MAPS, our light was on. And we have had a flood of volume even with no weather. March, not all of April, all of May, we can't even keep up. And it's just those things. And we're still working on the website and the SEO part. But that was terrifying. It wasn't easy. It was a really difficult decision.
And how many vendors did you evaluate during that time?
Oh my gosh. 5 or 6 of the ones that I would trust, if you will, that have good names in the industry and that I know people that use them. And it was just really hard. It was just, again, like the accounting, it has to be someone you can speak with well and understand well and communicate with and that kind of thing. It's a difficult decision, but extremely, these are those pivotal things that are huge decisions that literally took us from close to failure. It's truly if we hadn't done those things, I don't know where we would be.
Yeah.
And then the third thing that we had to do was switch vendors. We had to switch because that from a contractor standpoint, you get really, really close with your vendors. You become friends with them. You end up traveling on these trips with them for years. You get really close. And we had to switch vendors because we just were not getting the pricing that we needed to be competitive. And that was another thing. Like all of this happened. But then, and maybe to some, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but these are all really huge deal, like switching to Service Titan. And then the accounting, you have to know your numbers. Everybody talks about that, right? You have to know your numbers, know what's going on and why things aren't working the way they're working. And you've got to have the volume. You have to have your phones ringing, obviously. And we talk about this, right? You've got to, but we are, I can say this without a doubt. We are, as far as contractors go, we do our part. We absolutely do our part. We do not miss phone calls. We do not, we have all 5-star reviews. We treat our customers really, really well. We touch them way too much, as they say. We take way too much to get done. And that's, I mean, that sounds really bad, but we lick them to death. How about that?
Right.
So much. Yeah. Like a dog. Yeah. So we really care about what we do. We do tons of training, guys, lots of soft skills training along with technical training. I mean, we do our part in making sure that those leads and those calls get nurtured and taken care of. And, I think, we can definitely improve in some ways, but we're really doing a good job,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, lots of changes. And that's hard on your team. The changes are hard on your team. Josh and I lost so much sleep. They don't even know about, I don't even know if they even knew any of this was necessarily going on behind the scenes and having to figure all this out, because that's really who it's for. That's what all this is for. Like we've got to keep going for everyone, not just ourselves. It's our team and our community and our clients. So it's been a rough year. It's a really rough year, but the light has shown. And I do want to mention one other thing is that behind the scenes, I reached out to quite a few of my industry friends during this time, and God, like we have an amazing community, amazing community of helpful people. And we're not ones to ask for help, but I finally did. And some major names in this community really went above and beyond and helped us. And it's like emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We have some amazing, great people in this industry that are always going above and beyond, just to give advice or just to be there for you and, really understand all perspectives. And I think that's the great part is they've been there, we've done that and we can relate, and all we want to do is help, like that's just the biggest part of the industry that I love so much. And that's why I stay so close to it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God, I love these people.
Yeah. And I think most people in this industry, we have a heart for service. That's why we're doing what we do. So they're very genuine, kind, real people who just want to help. And that's every day is helping people in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you talked about the conferences, which is interesting, right? Because it's marketing too. You're going there to learn about other processes, systems, procedures, and it can be overwhelming. And it can be so different from one conference to another. How do you digest that as a business owner? And what do you do what have you taken back from the conferences, and which conferences did you really learn the most at is really what I'm kind of interested to know.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's changed over the years. So one of our first ones was Service World Expo back when I think we went the first year it started. It was one of the years. So it's been a long time. And at that time, and for so many years, we just would it was like drinking from a fire hose, so much information, and we would just consume, and then be really overwhelmed. And we learned that we would just have to take a few nuggets that we could implement and just focus on those, and just have to wait till the next one. Because the reality is, as much as you absorb and what you just have to figure out what the key implementation items that are going to move the needle the most, those are what you need to focus on. And you have to, and we've learned as well with our team, you just can't come back and be like, we're doing this and this and this and this, and to be distracted by all of the silver, the silver bullets, the shiny things. And we've learned all of that the hard way.
Yeah.
But really, again, like if we could go back, like, oh no, I only done this for that. Oh, this was a distraction. That was a distraction that took away from, what we're really trying to do. And we have to bring ourselves back to that. Okay, we need to answer the phone, book the call. We just need to do those basic things instead of trying to do all these bells and whistles. And so, but yeah, we like Service World Expo. Of course, we've been to some of the Profit Rocket events. I feel like we've been to so many things. Our goal, we want to go to Pantheon this year. It's like, it's really go to.
Buy your tickets.
Yes. Yes, that's one of them. And, we go to some small, I love the women in the trade so much. And so the E3 event has been so valuable, more on a relationship level. I've picked up some great nuggets from those events, more for the relationships. And now it's become more about the relationships. So the last one we went to, which was that Profit Rocket here in Dallas, I'm sorry, Rocket X.
Yes.
Instead of Rocket. And we did attend some of the events, some of the training, but it was actually, we had other things that we were looking and needing for this event. So we've learned that too. Like we kind of have to go into the event with what our focus is, and whether it's to learn about this or meet this person or that person, or connect with, it's now more of a pick and choose thing than it was to try to consume it all.
Yep.
Yeah. That's something that I think a lot of people, like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about going to trade shows, like, rewind this episode 15 seconds and listen to that again, because so many people just go and they're like, oh, I'll just figure it out when I get there. And then they see the agenda and they're like, oh yeah, call by call management. That sounds cool. Oh, digital marketing. That sounds cool. And they just go in and then they get the good information. They're just like, oh my God, I have to do all this stuff. But like, if you're going to go to a conference or something, like, I think it's so critical to, before you go, sit down with your team and be like, all right, what's working? What's not working? What should we start doing? What should we stop doing? Get those 3 or 4 things and then go find the conference that's got the curriculum or the content scheduled to answer those questions, and pick and choose. Maybe you go to a conference just to talk to one person, or maybe you go to attend a breakout or a workshop, but definitely go with 2 or 3 things that you're like, all right, if I leave here with a game plan, then this conference has been a success. Because it's so easy to get there and just be like, oh, beer at the lobby. Let's go drink beer, and let's go get some free fidget spinners from the tables and then go home.
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely get discouraged if you don't have that plan as well. Because we've walked away, not with our heads down, but being like, oh my gosh, like, I got to lose weight and get really muscular. And I've got to, start a podcast and an ebook of some sort. And we work our entire business. You know what I mean? There's just so much. I joke about those things, but I mean, it's a lot. Sometimes you're like, I need to,
Where's my Lamborghini? You're like, I should be, even me, I'm like, I should be way further ahead, than I am. And then I'm like, no, like, readjust yourself, Sarah. Like, you're fine.
Yeah. I mean, you can go away feeling like, you are a loser. Like, I really am like, how are these people doing it? And I like the rah stuff, I guess, to a degree, but too much of it can be a little too much. I like how what's the realistic, or what's the reality of what you can implement when you get home and balance with family life and your business and all those things. So you gotta, what do they say? You have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So
with ourselves.
one thing at a time, and then if you look back, that's what's so critical about it too, for us, our journey. If we look back, like where we've come from and where we are now, we've really accomplished a lot. And I struggle with really living in the moment and not always looking forward about what we could do better, what we still need to do, and where we're weak, and all of these things, when we should embrace where we're at. And this last year, I think, has magnified that. And where we're at, we've had 3 record months, like almost double from last year. And so we're
double. I mean, it's time.
That's right. Double it all the time. That's right. But I mean, there was a solid 6 months, or 6 or 7 months. I mean, it was really scary for us, and we've not ever been in that position. And for it to recover like it has taken a lot of work and energy and time and all of that, and prayer. So I love Jesus. So, and I'm grateful to have that, because I don't know, some days we'd make it, but we have a great team, of course, who stands by us and helps support and get us to where we are. So, and we have some really great goals now, and I think they're very attainable. So,
and you've really been focusing on community marketing, right? And getting out there and, taking your brand to the streets. And I love that. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing in your community?
Sure. Yeah. And so, I mean, we have a wonderful brand, a beautiful brand, and a lot of people think we have even more vans out on the street than we have. We have 4 fully wrapped vans and several trucks and trailers and all of those kind of things, but they're all over the place. People, when I go to networking events, I'll often wear, the fully colored shirts and whatnot, or they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your vans. You guys are all over the place." So that's always wonderful feedback. And we've really embraced the double the service, double the quality, double the care. We keep your home humming. That's our tagline. Did you know that a hummingbird can change its internal body temperature by 20 degrees in less than 24 hours? Which is with your HVAC unit. It's pretty fascinating. So we just really embrace our community. We are a very tight-knit community, and very referral based, very recommendation based. Everyone knows everyone somehow, even though we're like 275,000 people plus a university. And it is so important to get your name out there and to be involved in the community. We're heavily involved with a nonprofit. It's an organization that we provide these special tricycles that we design for kids with disabilities, and we support that. And I'm involved in that heavily, personally, but as a business too. And we love that it gives right back to our community directly. So kids with disabilities, we do a baseball season for kids with disabilities. We've built a whole baseball field for disabled children, and my kids are involved in that. And husbands, we support that, t-shirt sponsors, buddy sponsors, that kind of thing. We have business expo that we were just in. It's a business to business expo, trade show type thing. Have involved with the Chamber of Commerce. We go to a lot of ribbon cuttings. So if somebody's doing a grand opening or a ribbon cutting and things like that, we're showing up with our stuff on, and referral groups, networking events. There's a lot of that happening in our community. I'm sure part of BNI. BNI is a very popular. There's a lot of referral groups similar to it, even not the BNI. And so we're involved in all of that. And like I was mentioning before, I take my daughter with me, so one of my daughters, and so they can learn what we do and share that with the community and just be involved. Our community is family, very family. It's not. A lot of people say you can do the exact same thing in every community. You can't. Like if you came in here with hard and fast, what you call like a city slicker sales type stuff, high pressure sales, it wouldn't work here. You would get run out of town. Like you really.
Oh wow!
If it just doesn't. We are handshakers still here. We handshake it on a deal sometimes still. And I know that people might cringe thinking about that, but this is West Texas. Come out, you'll see. People are so friendly. It's pretty cool. Awesome. And very genuine, very real, very conservative. community. And we love it. We love it. We love doing business here.
That's good. Awesome. Is there anything that we haven't touched on yet that you were hoping to chat about?
As there has been exposed a little bit of this, I spoke with this at the E3 event, and one of my big, campaigns, if you will, to business owners, especially, or just women and men, certainly men in this industry, that is so important. It's so important to take care of yourself, like your mental, spiritual, and physical health. And that's had to become a priority of mine. I'm pretty stubborn, and I think most business owners are pretty stubborn. We push and we push and we push and we push and we go and we go. And we're under a lot of stress, and we just don't even know when to stop or even how, because you kind of get on this hamster wheel and you just don't, it's like not stopping. There's just no way to stop it, but you have to make it a priority. You truly do. Time for yourself, make your health a priority, rest and peace. And we're not martyrs, it's not going to benefit anybody if we're not doing well. And so I spoke a lot. I shared that story. It's a kind of a lengthy story, so I don't know if right now is a really good time for that, but it's a journey for sure. And what was really great about it is several people at Profit, I can't remember what the names are. Sorry guys, love you, but I can't remember the names of
Profit Rocket and Rocket X.
Yes, thank you. So at Rocket X, there were some people who walked up to me and said, hey, what you shared at the E3 event totally changed my life. Actually, I've stepped back. I have, made these changes in my life to focus more on my health. It's not always about the physical, but the spiritual and the mental, it's a time for yourself. And these businesses are not everything. If we don't have those other pieces in place, we can't operate in our fullness.
No, your health is your wealth, and especially your mental health. And because your mental health impacts everyone around you, and you don't even realize it sometimes. You can be in a spiral and you won't even recognize it. You have to have those people around you that support you, that really love you and be like, hey, you need a break, and sometimes we don't even have those people that say that to us. But when we do, that's something that we should take seriously and really allocate time and spend time with gratitude, but time with ourselves and really breaking down of like, okay, well, what are my wins? What are my opportunities? And where can I grow as a leader? Where can I grow as a business owner? Where can I, and it's constantly becoming more and more self-aware in your mental health so that you can stabilize yourself. It's how I feel.
Yeah. It's making yourself, we make everyone else a priority, business owners, everyone else, and no offense, Eric, sorry, as women tend to, if we look at generations, right? Like the generations have changed and more women are working than ever before, but we still have traditionally those responsibilities that we always had with the kids and all the other things. And so for me, and this is nothing to even negative to say to men or my husband or whatever, but I naturally was carrying way more than I could, than I should have, I could have, and so that's where the burnout comes in, especially saying, even Sarah, that, if you don't have a support system to balance that out, I mean, you just can't continue to go and go and go and go back. And, for me, my kids, they weren't getting any of me. And it was like the leftovers. And that was really physically my body literally shut down and I had to stop, but that's what it takes for someone like me. I'm very stubborn. That it was just like, nope, no more. But then the all of that, the spiritual side, the physical, but the emotional side, all of that kicked in, and I realized, okay, I've got to really focus on myself so I can be better for my family too. Like this is it's not everything. And what's been so beautiful about it, it's actually allowed my husband to step into a place that I hadn't allowed him and take on this leadership role, if you will. I mean, that has just been really cool to watch. It's been amazing for both of us. It's been hard, but it's amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think like that's one thing for just people in the trades. It's men and women. We should talk about mental health more, and we should talk about the spiritual side of how we find ourselves again. And just in general, like, people are people and we're humans. We have emotions and feelings. And again, we are in the people and experiences business. And when you really think about that, it's not only supporting our own mental health, it's supporting our family's mental health, but our employees' mental health. And so any way that you can, as a business owner, provide either leadership training, therapy, added benefits to your employees, to sit down and talk to them and really get to know them as humans, I think you will only develop better relationships in the people and experiences business that we are in. But I really want to end it with, Shawna, you have a passion that you love to do with your business. And you have talked about it with me at the last trade show that we were at. And we were like, yeah, you should start a business. So tell me about your passion and tell us what you do and what you're going to be doing in the future.
Yeah, don't put me on the spot, Sarah. So at this last event, Sarah and Stephanie and I were sitting and talking about travel, and it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. And Josh and I both traveled very extensively in our younger years, and we love that. And so through the business, I've become what they call, it's just a hobby of mine. Like, so leveraging points through credit cards, if you will, like the spending that we have to do as business owners and personally to accrue massive amounts of points. And it's just like a hobby of mine. And I was just sharing that with Sarah and Stephanie, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have X million, points of whatever. But business owners, like, and especially in the trades, they don't have time to really, like, for me, I just like it because it's like my thing. And I'm not like crazy. There are people who have 3 screens with spreadsheets and stuff, and I'm not like that at all. But there's just some really great ways to be able to leverage the use of credit cards with the spends that we have and gain points. And then we use those. We use it. I mean, a lot of people think they need to use it personally. We use it for going to some of these events. We'll send employees for training. I mean, it's just a way to offset cash flow sometimes. And so what we had talked about is how I should develop a business around that for business owners in the trades and guide them through how they can maximize that for themselves. And we'll even do like little fun trips, like as an end cap, if you will, at the end of a conference or something. So like this last conference I was sharing with them, well, Josh and I, we haven't spent any time together in months. So we're going to go stay at the Ritz-Carlton right after this for 2 days before we go home and have some time as husband and wife. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, all on points. I mean, why not? And so that led to that. And so I'm doing something to create that. I think there's a niche for that. And I think a need for it for all these business owners. And they have honestly a treasure trove of points sitting there that they could use and maximize. And they need it. They need that the time, mental health time. They need that break, that time to get away. And it wouldn't cost them anything.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. That's actually something that I've been kicking the can around on, is like extending trade shows this fall, because there's so many in Orlando, and I've got a kid, and my wife loves Disney, and I was like, so we're definitely going all down for one of them, and we're going to stay, a long weekend.
Yeah.
But that's something I've always thought about. I was like, why don't we just turn these trade shows into like a long weekend vacation or something? Because like you were saying, like those credit card points, they just pile up and you never spend them.
Yep. Well, and often owners are like, well, I need to spend the money because then I can write it off. Well, you're still spending your dollars. So that's actually what you're taking from the bottom line, no matter how you look at it. So you might as well leverage these. But there's also ways to get a lot more points for your money if you ever want to learn about that. So,
Yeah.
Eric, I can teach you how. So
Yeah.
I
I need that.
yeah.
I'm like, just take my credit card. You're fine. Like, figure it out. Book my stuff. Like that. That's the
Yeah, I'll just send you the.
I know. And that's the other thing we talked about. I was like, and if you don't care, then just let me book it for you. And
Yeah. I'm like, if you could just please book this for me. I do not have time to learn this.
right.
Although I
Yeah.
think that it's very
Yeah.
special and I will support it 1,000%.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a way to do that too, for sure.
Yeah. And the business that you are naming it, what is it going to be called?
Oh, she trades points.
I love it.
It's the greatest. Shawna, I'm so happy for you. And I'm so happy to just hear all of your success and, the light that you bring to the industry. It's very bright. And I'm so excited for you in the future. And obviously, whatever you need, we are always here for you in any way, you and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I guess we will end this wonderful podcast and just appreciate you so much for being on the TradeMarke. And if all of you are out there listening, if you like this TradeMarke podcast, go ahead and subscribe and leave us a review. We would really like to hear your feedback. Yes.
Yeah. Leave us a review.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it truly is an honor. And I really do hope there's some nuggets in this that others can use. And if anybody wants to reach out, I am very accessible in the sense like people do. I mean, I will respond to you and I will help in any way that I can. And we have been there and done most of it.
Yeah. And they can find you on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for this
Shawna,
episode.
thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.
You
do.
too.
Bye-bye.
And that wraps up another episode of The TradeMarke, where we bridge the worlds of the trades and marketing, one story at a time. We can't wait to see you next time. Thank you to the trades for giving back big, loving big, and taking massive action. Don't forget to join us next time for more engaging conversations and innovative ideas. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and share it with your colleagues and friends in the trades and marketing. Your support means the world to us. Stay connected with us off the air by following us on social media. We'd love to hear your thoughts and get your feedback. Until next time, keep making your mark in the trades. Thank you for listening to The TradeMarke. Goodbye for now, and remember, we're with the trades for the trades.